Hi guys, Dennis from CANOEHOUND Adventures here. Here it is, a lovely spring day. Thought I would get outside here and tackle a project that I've been wanting to do for a while. So for any of you that may have Fjällräven pants or jackets, I'd imagine it would be the same process for doing both. But today I'm going to wax my Fjällräven pants. I've had these for quite a while now and they have never been waxed. And they've lost their waterproofness. Just because they've been through the wash many times. So just thought I would, like I say, get these things all waxed up and show you the process of actually doing it. Now these pants are actually the G-1000 fabric, as it indicates on the pant itself. So it's very, very recommended that you do wax this type of a pant. The process is going to take a little while. It's not going to be very difficult to do, but I will show you some of the things that we're actually going to need to do this whole process. The first thing you're going to need will be some Fjällräven wax. This is the Greenland wax, and it comes in a small brick. This one here cost me around $15 Canadian to purchase, and essentially it's just a brick of wax that has a bit of a concave in there, and this is what we're going to put onto the fabric. And then we're going to, after that, take a blow dryer set to high heat, and we're going to melt that wax right into the pants themselves. So this whole process, they say, should take about an hour's time to do, and will obviously make your pants more waterproof and yeah, just keep them from anything soaking through the pants themselves. So we'll take you through the steps in the process, and we'll see how they all turn out. So before I get started here, what I'm going to do, and now I watched a couple of other YouTube videos on this, of course, just to make sure I'm doing it the proper way. As I mentioned, this is the first time that I'm actually doing this. But what I'm going to do is, from one tip that I seen online, was to work section by section. The pants are kind of broken down into sections if you actually take a look. Let me just show you here. You know, you have the cuff area here, then you have your knee section, and of course you have where your pockets sit, and then you have your hip and your butt and your pelvis area. So by working in sections, you can make sure that you get good coverage. The one thing I'm going to do to make sure it gets really good coverage is anywhere that there's a seam, I'm going to add a little bit extra on there. I want to really give it a good coverage so that no water will penetrate through the seamed areas. That's anywhere that there would be stitching found on the pants themselves. So you just want to take your time and you want to get coverage. Let's do that now. Alright, so I've got my wax here, and I'm just going to get the fabric to lay flat and smooth. Now with the Fjällräven, they have a pocket here that you can actually put padding up underneath. I'm going to make sure I get right up into there. I'll pull off a bit of the dog here. But from what I've read and what I've seen, essentially you're just going to, using the edge or a corner of the actual wax stick, you're going to make sure you get full coverage. Now you don't need to lay too much on there. You don't want these pants to stand on their own in a corner. You just want to get a good enough coverage on there that it's going to make all your edges look nice and chalky. As you can see, it's getting a very chalky look to it. But you want to make sure that you get all the areas covered very well. And as I said, I'm using the corner of the actual wax stick. Now I mentioned the seams. Make sure I get these seams really, really well. Working one section at a time. And I mentioned underneath the pocket area there, where any water can seep. Now you want to give a really good coating anywhere that you know your pants are going to get wet, 100%. So you want to make sure you're getting the the top of the thighs and things like that, because if it rains or something, those are usually the areas that are going to get wet. And also, of course, your behind section, you want to make sure that that's all covered as well. So get in that seam really well. And I'll get a little on the cuff here. especially in that seam area. Excellent, looking good. I think it's looking good. So you can work section by section. There we go. That didn't really take up that much wax. If you take a look at the corner of the wax stick, it looks pretty good. Okay, so as you've seen, I've done the bottom section of the pant leg. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to take a blow dryer. Now, they say on the inside of the pants, there's actually instructions how to wax, and it's there in many different languages. And it's put there so that you can actually have your instruction on how to wax it. They say you can use one of three different things. You can use an iron, or you can use a blow dryer, or you can actually use heat from like some sort of a fire source. To me, putting a fire source to my very expensive Fjällräven pants, not a good idea. The iron, I think my wife would probably get a little upset if I took our good iron and filled that thing with wax. So I'm left with this. You could probably also use a heat gun, but same type of principle. I'm going to take this here and I'm going to put it on the highest setting that there is, and then basically we're going to get that wax melted in. Let's do that now. And there we have it. So that's the first section done. So basically what I've done is I've melted that all the way in. Let's see if we get this up here. And all the wax or all that grayness has actually disappeared now, and it's actually absorbed right into the material. I have seen a couple of different people online say that you can actually give it 2 coatings just to make sure that you get good even coverage. I think I might do that because I have a full stick of this, this Greenland wax. So I'm going to give this a second coat in the same spot. Okay, so second layer on that bottom portion is done. Now, one of the things that I do notice about having given it a second coating is you take a look at it, and this is the one that I've done. Not sure if you can notice, but you can actually see the difference there. It's darkened up the material a little bit. I don't know if we can get a good comparison here or not. There. It has darkened the material up a little bit, and hence for good reason. We've actually applied wax to it, right? So is that a problem for me? No, it's not, because now I have a good waterproof pants. Do I need to do 2 coats on there? I think I'm going to do 2 coats on the areas that I know are going to become very wet or damp. And that'll be basically the fronts of the pants and on the seat area. So we're going to continue on, and I'll just get a little bit of tidbits of highlights here, some fast motion maybe, just to show you the whole process of getting these pants all done. And I'm going to enjoy myself a nice coffee while I'm doing it. So now I just did a big section of the pant, as you can see here. That's basically left thigh and the whole hip area there. And I went over that, like, you know, a few good times here just to make sure I got good even coverage on it. And now I'm just going to hit that with the hair dryer and melt that all in now. Excellent. So I'm going to give you guys a quick little view of one pant leg that is completed now and the other, just so you can see the difference that it's going to make, because when you do wax these things, it is going to make the appearance of the pants a little bit darker. In this case, there seems to be a little bit of streakiness that's happening, and that's probably just because it's a heavier coverage of wax in those areas. I believe if you use a higher heat than probably what is offered by this blow dryer, it'll probably make that soak into the pants a bit more. Later on, when I'm all complete, I may go get a heat gun, which will throw more heat, and I'll get that, and that'll just finish working it in. But in the meantime, I'm just going to continue on here with the blow dryer and give you a little peek at, like I say, how this actually looks once it's completed. Alright, so I've gone and I've waxed the entire pair of pants and heated them up with the dryer. All the wax is melted in, and like I showed you earlier, there are some streaks on there. I think that's just because those are some of the heavier areas where there's seams and stuff on the other side, or wrinkles, and they collect a lot more wax. Therefore, it doesn't spread out as evenly. But as I mentioned earlier, on the back side here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give that a second coat. The entire pair of pants are feeling really stiff right now, which is not a bad thing, obviously, because they have wax in them. But what I want to do is, I hate sitting down and getting a wet behind. So I'm going to go and I'm going to give the behind section another coat of wax just to make sure that it stays nice and waterproof when I'm sitting down on, you know, that mossy rock or something along that idea. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that. Just because it's already got a coating of wax in it, but it's going to go nice and light. I'm actually laying the wax puck like this here, so, and fairly inexpensive, because it looks to me from doing research, and they've done research to say that this is the best type of wax to use for this type of project, or for this. And there we have it. Second coat on the backside a little is done now. And like I said, now the pants feel rather stiff, which is to be expected because of all the wax that's been added to it. And you could go over one more time just to make sure that some of the heavier covered areas are fully melted. Those would be the darker areas because there's a little more wax there, and that might help it distribute a little more evenly within the pants. But I seem to be very happy with what's how they look, and I think what I'm going to do is, before I call this a day, I'm going to get a glass of water, do a little bit of a water test, and show you how this will repel water now. Okay, so as I had promised, time for the water test. Let's see, I got a glass of water here. Don't got to pour the whole thing on there, but let's just adjust this camera so you can see the close-up of how it works. Okay, so we've zoomed in here a little and got my glass of water, and oh, look at that. Just what it's supposed to do. You see all that there? So I would say that this is a successful soak. And I actually got one or two little spots where I see it's not really beating up that well. I might go over and just give it a few little touch-ups, but to me, that is perfect. It's going to keep my backside nice and dry, and I'm sure it's going to be the same on the brown parts. So we're going to wrap this project up for the day. As you see, they're nice and waterproof now. And now my Fjällrävens are all ready for another day of action out in the forest. So, like I say, things that you need to get, you just need your wax and your Fjällräven pants, and of course a blow dryer or a iron or a heat source. I'm not going to say a flame. In an hour and 15, hour and a half, we actually got these pants all waxed up and ready to go. So the one thing I would like to say is to care for these now. Essentially, I have always washed my Fjällrävens in cold water so as not to shrink them and to keep whatever waterproofness they had when I originally bought them in the fabric. Same is gonna go for having a freshly waxed pair of pants. You're gonna want to wash these in cold water, and probably best to hang dry. That way there you'll get the longevity of the wax not getting washed out. But I would recommend that probably every 3 or 4 washings that you do, use your wax stick and just go over the pants lightly. Now that they've been waxed, they don't need to add a lot more unless it all washes out. So basically you're just going to go over the pants lightly and just give it a really light coat, and then hit it with that blow dryer again, and then hang them to dry someplace until you're ready to use them next time. So that would be my recommendation for the pants. That's probably how I will treat them over the next while, and not have to wax them full on every single time. So anyways, take on this project, fun little project to do, and you'll make your pants last that much longer. Anyways, I'm Dennis from CANOEHOUND Adventures saying, remember people, keep the adventures alive.